Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Birgitta Visser. She is the founder of Power Soul Healing, a soul empowerment coach, and an author of the book Becoming Authentically Me. Hello, Birgitta. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for having me today.
All right, so let's just start a conversation with diving into your story of becoming the person you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
Oh, it was, I wish it came falling out of the sky, but it didn't. It took me a very, very long time because I always had my fingers in so many different pies. I was always working. And I think that's because actually that was more of it was kind of an escaping mechanism because, to escape the trauma that I had been through it as a child, because I was abused as a kid. And I lost my dad at the age of 14. And, I used to starve myself and I was bullied at school as well. And so, one bit of trauma creates another bit of trauma. And so I carried that into my toxic yet beautiful relationships, as I call them, because we're all reflections of one another. And I just had to take responsibility. And I've done so many things. I've been a bartender. I've done tons of promotions. Worked in the corporate world and worked my way up. And it was a great escapism until eventually the lid popped. And I started to take responsibility and actually heal my life. And even then, studying many healing modalities, like Reiki, EFT, and teaching these and being a meditation teacher, teaching meditative arts. I enjoyed it, but that wasn't really my passion. And, I started writing my book back in 2000. And it only got published in last year. That's how long it took to finish because my story wasn't finished yet. Still not finished. But yeah, and then I started because I understood my life and my experiences, and it became easy for me to forgive. And I always say, you got to hug it out with yourself. You got to love yourself because we're all here to return to a love for ourselves, and each other. And and I saw all these characters in my life as being a reflection and wonderful teachers. And some of them have actually, as you call it, rectified their lives, dealt with their own hurt. So it's nice to see that growth. But yeah, so I am a soul empowerment coach, but I still have a foot in the corporate world. And I'm very, very busy with that. But yeah, it's all about empowering people to return to their own soul essence, returning to their authentic nature, as I always like to call it, authentic flavor of who they truly are.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, for you, it's been a hard time, but eventually you came to the place where you could accept and forgive and kind of like see yourself from different perspective at that point. And that was a huge shift for you in terms of where you were going next. And I think this type of practices that we do on a daily basis, we kind of like release something that it's not serving us now. Maybe it did for a certain period of time. It had a purpose, but now we need to let it go. And for some people, it's hard to kind of like do it on their own, and they need that type of help, or like to seek other practitioners who can help them to create that safe space and to kind of like release those type of blocks that they have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in your book, Be Authentically, what was the name? Becoming Authentically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what inspired you to write the book, and what kind of idea is behind and the vision for this book to help others?
Well, I channel. So it was like, Birgitta, you're going to finish writing this book. I kind of didn't have a choice. So, I mean, I worked crazy hours in my corporate work last year, and I can't be doing that anymore. I can't be working 50, 60 hours. And then, I'm writing my second book now as well in India. And so, and that's why, it was blowback for me because I had a really bad flu. I'm only now just recovering, but yeah, the book came about, and it was really the first part is about the conscious shift of the earth, so to speak, and humanity, and it's about that ascension process and why things happen the way they happen. Because people like to live in this, as I call it, this artificial created society, right? Or you call it the matrix, whatever you want to call it. And it's like I always say about Earth, I call it Terra is Earth, and then I call it terrarium. So it's like we've been dumped in this little glass box, and we have to learn. Society has been created for us to live a certain way, but that's not in alignment with our soul. And so I talk about that. I talk about the fact that there is no death; that we merely transform. Because we're energy. That's it. We're consciousness. We're energy. And some people say no, but really this body. And I always say to people, well, how do you power your body then? You've got a soul, right? And so the soul is like the battery. So I talk about that as well. And then the second part talks about my life and all the trauma that I've been through, and it's infused with the many channeled messages from the many ascended masters. Especially I work a lot with the ascended master Saint Germain because he's insane. He's really funny. And I think, when I was very down and out, especially in Florida, it helped me so much to communicate with many of the ascended masters. And it's even like Archangel Michael. People think, oh, you know what? I'm going to ask Archangel Michael for help. But if you want to face your fears, right? Because as the saying goes, life begins at the other on the other side of your comfort zone, or at the end of your comfort zone. And it's really about, oh, he's like, well, you want to conquer your fears? Well, I'm gonna splat your face straight into your fears. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, we don't know that what we're asking for, and then what we're receiving is actually our own kind of intention of being in that experience and to learn from it. But we, for some reason, perceive it as being like, I don't know, some obstacle or something that would stop us from going further. And we kind of like put that limit upon ourselves to not being courageous enough to face that and to move forward. And everything
fear, isn't it?
has a two sides of it, like a coin. You flip it and you see how it becomes something the opposite. But those different type of experiences, and you encounter, being in a relationship with people, that would kind of put that focus on what you need to learn right now. And then we just need to kind of like take it the right way and not be not being stopped by having that type of experience, but actually being grateful for doing it now and knowing that it's going to bring us to the next level.
Absolutely. I always say, be grateful for your experiences. And indeed, life is an experiment for you to experience. And it's like, I mean, I always compare it to the game of Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong, and you play the level over and over, but you keep dying, you're having doing the same experience, and eventually you'll master that level, and you understand how how the game is played, so to speak. You understand the experience, and then you level up to to a different experience. But that's the thing about life. People hang on to their experiences like no tomorrow. It's like they fear change, and they wonder, then they wonder why there's so much dis-ease in their life. We're the creators of our own reality. We're the creators of our own little cosmic world. And people seem to forget that how we create and express ourselves adds to the collective consciousness as well. So imagine there's loads of people that still have that fear embedded within them, and that adds to the collective consciousness.
Mm. Yeah, we should kind of be also mindful that we're not just ourselves. It's not all about us, but the bigger picture of things, how we
Yep.
contribute to something that is, should be good for all of us, right? And with that, knowing that you are an essential part of that bigger picture, that puzzle, let's say, you should be honored to play that role and be the best that you can be in order to contribute for the better good of all.
Yeah, I totally agree. But that's the thing, right? People live so much in an ego-centered and self-centered way, they've forgotten how to live in a heart-centered way, where we just accept one another and embrace one another as the brothers and sisters we are. But we live so much in this feat of separation, thinking that we are separate from one another, that it's like we walk, when you walk on the street, it's like, technically we're not strangers, we know who we are, but we've just forgotten because we've been whacked on the head upon incarnating.
Wow, yeah, so you kind of know more about the other side of the world that we still trying to find connection to. But you mentioned you've been receiving the channeling from different beings.
Yeah.
Is there like some message you want, I would say, to tell everybody that you received, as for us all to kind of like focus on in that present moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important to focus on the present moment. You can't go backward, because if you check your rear view mirror continuously, you'll crash in the present moment, and you're not going to create any better tomorrows. But it's really about, and I mean, I had this, this is actually Ascended Master Saint Germain. He always talks very much about, as I talk about fear, but he turns it around in a very funny way. He will say, fear is the Lord Shen to your mangled or entangled Kung Fu Panda. Fear is the Darth Vader to your frozen Jedi. And so there are all these analogies, and fear is merely in the mind. It's merely that conditioning. We can call it social conditioning, but as you said earlier, we are our very own limit. We create our own limitations. And so to get back to that authentic nature, it's really about alchemizing your experiences. And we are all divine alchemists. We really are. We've just forgotten how to manipulate the energy and make it and turn it into our favor. And so, because everything comes from within, everything comes from within. And so how you feel inside is what you vibe right back out. And so we are incredible manifestors, but we can also be our own greatest dam builders or destroyers, so to speak. And when we talk about divine alchemy, it's very much, I mean, in the Renaissance, it was really, they were talking about turning lead to gold, but it was a transformation of the human nature. So it was turning the heaviness, the lead, the problems that people carried, transforming them, healing, and turning themselves into a far more enlightened version of understanding that experience. And so moving forward, it was all about that transformation of character and understanding life, and not repeating those same experiences. The thing is, if we do not learn from if we do not learn, we keep being presented with the same experience, wrapped in a different setting, different characters, and it will keep being repeated until you learn the lesson, until you understand the triggers.
Right, and we sometimes ask ourselves, why is the same type of situation back again? And the answer is always within you. But you know, you have to kind of ask that question on a daily basis. Why am I feeling this way? And trying to figure out the reason for it, and not being afraid to look into your own emotions, and, you know, like if you had any traumas in life, but,
Yep.
you know, being willing to heal and transform yourself. And again, like you just said, you want to come back to your authentic self, to your natural way of being, of living here, right? And kind of like remember how to use that energy and transform it into something that is good for you, as a being alchemist, but in the more like you know, in an energy way, like emotional way, in a way that not seen, but you kind of like know what to do in order to go with the life and to get what you want in the end. So that practice, I think, of kind of being willing to improve and to develop yourself. What do you think people should kind of start as a habit, maybe like daily habit they could incorporate in their life that will eventually will bring them to that mindset that we're all talking about?
Yeah. So for me, okay, so before I get into that, my journey was one of self-discovery. So I really had to figure it out. It wasn't like I had a handbook or anything. Oh, you go and see that healer. No, it wasn't like that. I really had to figure it out and follow my gut. You know, and I will be the first one to say that I mean, I did try to take my own life twice, actually. That's how beaten down I was. But you wouldn't see it on me because I was always working, and I just soldiered on. And I think I have that from my mom because, you know, she went through a lot of trauma in her own childhood. And eventually when she got older, much older, she released those experiences, and she broke the how do you call that, the lineage, so to speak. She broke the ties of that lineage of the ancestors. But I think it's really important to, I always say, make a bucket list of what you want to do and what you want to change and stick it on your fridge. Two, listen to, and this is really easy, listen to meditation videos from David G. So J.I., David J.I. And he has guided meditations. It's all about the breath, because people always forget that the breath is really, really important, right? Because we shallow breathe. As Lord Sananda always said, we shallow breathe because we only breathe up to here rather than, you know, all the way to the root chakra and then back out, you know, to the crown chakra. But his meditations are amazing. And they're like I said, they're 20 minutes. And what's 20 minutes out of your day?
Right.
Because it will calm you right back down. Or you listen to 432 hertz meditations on YouTube, and you just plug it in your ears and you breathe, and you just, and some people say, yeah, but I can't meditate because my thoughts keep wandering. If you know that your thoughts are wandering, you come back to the breath. And I always say, when it comes to breathing, something that I learned in India, it's, you know, you breathe in, well, you start with the count of 4. You know, you breathe in 4, hold it for 4, and then breathe out 4, and then hold it again for 4. And once you've mastered that, then you just do 8, 8, 8, 8. And on it's amazing because it's so powerful. It's such a simple technique, but extremely powerful.
Yeah, we need something to kind of relax us, because I feel like stress and that feeling of anxiety all the time with a lot of people, especially here in the United States. You know, everybody works 40, 50 hours a week, you know, and they always on the run. They don't stop,
Yes.
they don't see what's going on. It's just like automatic autopilot every single day. So they run in that wheel, and then they come back home, and they're always stressed and not feeling like being engaged in something other than their job. And they need some kind of technique to unwind and to relax and to tune in.
Yeah, I always say I don't have a TV anymore. I mean, I got rid of it years ago. I don't follow the news or the media because that is the problem. It's advertising. We get, our senses get bombarded with advertising, with media and other materials. And people run around. Absolutely, I totally agree. People run around like loonies, and they don't have time for one another. And then they can, and most people are always on their phones. I mean, even in the gym, even in the gym, I want to get on a machine, and it's like they're either video recording themselves or they're on their social media. And when I'm in the gym, all I have is my music, and that's it. But I'm not addicted to my phone. I'm not addicted to my computer. I'm not addicted to social. That's just not me. I mean, social. I mean, what's real and what's photoshopped? You just don't know anymore. And you see people put their achievements up, and that really, I'll be very honest, when I came back from Florida and I lost everything again, it was like you saw all these pictures. Oh, people were married, they have families, they have kids, you see their homes and all their achievements. And I said to my mom, I said, Mom, I mean, look at me, what have I got? I'm such a failure. And she looked at me and she's like, Birgitta, no, you're not a failure. She's like, you've led a very different life. She's like, you've traveled the world, you've worked everywhere. And regardless of what you've been through, you've always come out the other side. She's like, how many people can say they've lived a life as yours? And and she was right. And this is several quite a few years ago now. But yeah, I don't allow social media to influence me. But if you look at the youth today, I mean, to fit in, and I've seen it here, to fit in, people will smoke pot, they will vape. Kids, they've got all these extracurricular activities to go to besides the schoolwork. People, as you said, work 50, 60 hours a week. And that's just done by design. That's how society has now been created. Not that technology cannot be positive, because it can, but it's, without the media, there wouldn't be any celebrities.
Yeah, that's true. And we need, to understand that media could be very distractive for our lives and could kind of like project that artificial picture of somebody's life
Yep.
that it's not even real. And because of that, you allow yourself being affected with that image that could not be real, and thinking about yourself in a negative way, criticizing of who you are. And
Yeah.
again, like, why are we trying to seek validation externally? Why do we need that approval? So that should also be a question for every one of us to kind of think about what's important. Why is that something that would affect me in any way? Because you cannot leave to other people expectation of you, and it's impossible to please everybody. So with you being upset, it's just kind of doesn't make sense if you think about it.
Yeah, we don't, we seek validation from others, to plug the holes of our self-worth, right? Because we don't feel adequate enough. And it's ridiculous, because we need to value ourselves and accept ourselves and be happy with the way, and with the way we are and who we are. And we live so much on the outer fringes of ourselves that we've forgotten that everything is inside of us. And like I said, the celebrity culture doesn't help. I mean, take an example as Britney Spears, for instance, where she posts so much on Instagram. She has no self-worth, bless her heart. She doesn't value herself, and she needs that validation. She needs that likes. That's very black and white. But many people need these likes, and it's ridiculous. You know, you shouldn't live your life through through any of your electronics, so to speak, or your social media. I mean, in the 1980s, when I grew up, we'd play outside with kids. You know, we had one of these massive TVs that two people needed to lift to move that. You know, we had a landline, but we would play marbles. We would play, you know, we would just bike outside, roller skates, all that stuff. Kids don't do that anymore.
Right, and everything changed in that generation, and also like we have to be mindful that what we teach our kids is what they will become as well. So they learn by you showing an example of what you're doing, how you're feeling. Again, if you don't want it to be repeated again in the next generation, you have to be kind of like you know, on the point of what is important for legacy, for your own like family legacy, and what do you want to leave behind yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not just a body here, you are essential part, like I said, a puzzle in the whole picture. And we need to just put our priorities straight and to know what's important and what's fake, you know, and kind of like tune out of what could distract you, but tune in something that, you know, is waiting for you to listen. And
Yep. So that's what I call, you know, being aware, and conscious living, which is really important, conscious living.
right. And I hope a lot of listeners will think about conscious living, you know, mindset and what could bring them to that place. So from that perspective, it would be a, you know, totally different picture that they will see, and they will see that it will impact not only their life but the life of others, because all we doing is creating that ripple effect, and we are the ones that should start within ourselves first. And I'm so glad that we had that conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and wisdom. It was a pleasure. Hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you, Anna.